Anthony Fauci found himself facing off against Rand Paul's idiotic attempts to spread disinformation related to coronavirus. So let's watch what happened.
Do you have any second thoughts about your mitigation recommendations, considering the evidence that despite all of the things we've done in the US, our death rate is essentially worse than Sweden, equivalent to the less developed world that is unable to do any of the things that you've been promoting?
You know, Senator, I'd be happy at a different time to sit down and go over detail. You've said a lot of different things. You've compared us to Sweden, and there are a lot of differences. And you said, well, you know, there are a lot of differences between Sweden, but compare Sweden's death rate to other comparable Scandinavian countries. It's worse.
So the situation in Sweden is pretty bad. And oftentimes you're likely to hear right-wingers who are against any type of shutdown or against social distancing guidelines cite Sweden as if it were some sort of success story. It is not. So our death rate is pretty high. So the number of deaths per capita in the United States is pretty high. So per 100,000 individuals in the United States, 61.37 die. Okay, and when it comes to Sweden, the number is also high, 57.64. So it's lower than the United States, but you should compare Sweden to other Scandinavian countries, which Fauci encourages people to do as well. And herd immunity, which, you know, Rand Paul is trying to endorse here, would lead to as many as 2 million Americans dying from the pandemic. So herd immunity among a population usually achieved through vaccination is reached when around 60% of citizens are deemed immune. In July, the World Health Organization officials warned that patients who recover from the virus may be able to get it again, saying that some studies suggest immunity may wane after a few months. I'm gonna give you some more incredibly important statistics in just a minute, but let's hear more from this exchange.
How could we possibly be jumping up and down and saying, oh, Governor Cuomo did a great job? He had the worst death rate in the world.
No, you misconstrued that, Senator, and you've done that repetitively in the past. They got hit very badly. They've made some mistakes. Right now, if you look at what's going on right now, the things that are going on in New York to get their test positivity 1% or less is because they are looking at the guidelines that we have put together from the task force of the 4 or 5 things of masks, social distancing, outdoors more than indoors, avoiding crowds, and washing hands.
Or they've developed enough community immunity that they're no longer having the pandemic because they have enough immunity in New York City to actually stop.
I challenge that, Senator, because I want to, please, sir, I would like to be able to do this because this happens with Senator Rand all the time. You were not listening to what the director of the CDC said, that in New York, it's about 22%. If you believe 22% is herd immunity, I believe you're alone in that.
There's also the pre-existing immunity of those who have cross-reactivity, which is about a third of the public in many estimates from studies, which would actually get you to about 2/3.
I'd like to talk to you about that also, because there was a study that recently came out that pre-existing immunity to coronaviruses that are common cold do not cross-react with the COVID-19.
So Fauci is right, and of course Rand Paul is wrong. And look, for anyone who even feels any temptation to take anything Republicans have to say about coronavirus seriously, we're doing so poorly, right, under Republican leadership. And look, it's up to you. At this point, I don't care anymore. People don't want to wear masks, don't wear masks. You wanna go ahead and harm yourself and harm your family members, harm your loved ones. You wanna put people's lives at risk around you, people who you supposedly love and care about. Have at it. I'm tired, right? There are too many things going on in this country right now that are awful, and we can't be babysitting morons anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
I just can't take it. Look at Sweden. Okay, let's take a look at Sweden. Let's look at this graph. It shows you how Sweden is doing when it comes to the number of confirmed coronavirus cases, compared to all these other Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Norway, Finland, Iceland. Look at how horrible the situation is in Sweden. And then let's look at deaths per capita. Sweden, as I mentioned earlier, 57.64 deaths per capita. Denmark comes in second at 11.06 deaths per capita. Yeah, Sweden, not an example that we want to live up to. Far from it.
I don't understand how they can continue saying that month after month after month, as it's done worse than every other country in the region. They just keep holding it up as an example that we should somehow. I don't understand it. He's a doctor, sort of, like he's supposed to know some of this, but thankfully, I understand. Dr. Fauci, thankfully, had the information. The fact that he even knew about that, the cross reaction that he talked about at the end, that he knew about that study was great.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.